All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Apostate Weekly. I'm your host, James,
And I'm Ryan.
and let's roll that intro. And there was your bones there at the end rattling for you.
Gotta play those bones, baby. Make that money playing them bones.
Good morning, Mom and Dad. Hope you all are doing well this morning. So we got quite a few stories to cover this morning. Nothing that's like too lengthy and detailed, but still quite a bit going on this week, just despite it not being a very active week in general.
Yeah, I still feel like there's stuff that we have to report, but not super. Yeah, I don't feel like it was super packed in. But honestly, I probably have like lists of stuff that I could really talk about, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'll try to be brief.
Well, I mean, last week having Martin on the show, that really took the show last week, but there was a lot of good information to go through
It was
that he
awesome.
brought out. So if anybody missed last week's show, please go back and make sure you catch that, because he was an excellent guest to have on last week.
I think honestly, James, one of my biggest takeaways was that the investigation in Pennsylvania isn't limited to Pennsylvania.
Yes,
this can go into other states. I did not realize that, and I kind of feel bad that I didn't put that out in the beginning.
And territories of the United States too.
Yes, yeah. So if you are a U.S. citizen or whatever it is that they call you, yep, as long as you're in the territory, you can let them know what's happening about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's astounding. This is bigger than I even realized. So
yes,
yeah, and I had somebody comment on one of my videos that said I didn't realize this either, and I'm going to call. And I was just like, thank you so much for being so brave, because I get it. It takes a lot of courage to speak up about, and you're going back into your past, maybe into things that you were trying to forget, and bringing it up is just very difficult, but for the cause you're doing it, and just thank you. I appreciate that.
And like you said, for that person, it might be bringing up that trauma is not going to be easy, but if they can help others to get that bravery to bring out their stories and just blow the top off this whole thing with Watchtower and get it exposed. And one of the biggest things I really want to see happen from all this is Watchtower finally turning over their database of pedophiles that they have to the authorities.
Right.
And then from there, then we can get the prosecutions for these perverts that are being hidden in the organization.
Right. Because that's the thing that we know and we understand as former Jehovah's Witnesses, but that's what other people don't understand. The secrecy, what's being hidden, that there's a database of things that have happened to children and other people alike. But specifically, we're talking about children who are vulnerable and can't protect themselves. And it's just sat there collecting dust. And these people go about their daily lives like nothing ever happened, free to harm whoever else, going door to door, preaching the good news of God's kingdom, and it's deplorable behavior.
Exactly. And really, these stories are getting more and more exposure. And that actually segues into one of the stories we're going to talk about this morning very well, because in the UK, just yesterday, there was a show about this lady, Rebecca Vardy. I've never heard of her before. Apparently, she's some kind of celebrity over there because she's married to a soccer star in the UK.
Yeah, but they call them wags or something like that.
Well, yeah, I didn't understand what that was.
It's honestly like something about women, and then their position and like that footballer husband type of environment. I don't know exactly what the acronym stands for, but yeah, I was like, what the frick is a wag? Like, what are they talking about, wag? And then my husband, because he's English, he was like, oh, and then he told me, and I forget what it
was. Well, call him up and ask him what it is again right now.
Yeah,
Live on the show. Let's go. No, but But so she is famous. Oh, wives and girlfriends, Sarah Davies commented. Wives and girlfriends. Thank you,
That's what it
Sarah.
is.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mystery
But
solved.
but there was this. There was a documentary. It was like a 45-minute documentary that she was involved in last night on the UK television. And I got to watch it. I didn't get to watch it really thoroughly because I was kind of at work while I did it. But, you know, if anybody can get a chance, I will have the link for the video in the comments for that. And I'll make sure I pin it to the top as well so everybody can see the video. Because Ron Pimo was able to get that for me. And I really appreciate that, Ron. Thank you. Um, but one of the things I did catch from that, she actually, in that documentary, visited Jason Wynn. Now, do you know who Jason Wynn is on Twitter?
Yes, I love Jason Wynn. Yes, they are amazing. I am so thankful, Jason. If you see this, everything that you do is truly appreciated from the community. Thank
Oh,
you.
what he does is bigger than what I thought. I learned something in that documentary about him I had no clue about.
Oh, really? I can't. I'm
And
gonna watch it today. What's
and
what's the deal?
wow, my
Is he
respect for
dropping the
this
hammer?
guy is just amazing right now. He has a separate building on his house. I think it's a separate building. Jason, if you see this, please correct me. I watched it, but please correct me if I'm wrong. But he has a room with all sorts of old Watchtower literature that he has. Not
Mm.
only that, but he has a couple of computers with tons of storage space that he has saved all the documents
Oh,
and letters and
right.
just about everything he can get his hands on. He has a database of it that he saves and has been collecting. So the amount of
Ooh.
information this man has about
Yeah.
Watchtower and all their literature and
The stuff they
policies and
tried to
letters
destroy.
is just astounding what he has.
Thank
And
you, Jason.
they briefly showed it a little bit on the documentary, but just from what I saw, I was blown away. So yes, thank you, Jason. We really appreciate that. Hats off to you, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of XJWs who behind the scenes do so much flexing that we don't even know about. And yeah, like dedicating their time, their money, their lives, right? Like,
Yes,
you spend however long, for me, 40 years inside of this organization being brainwashed, and then to come out on the other side. And instead of walking away and go, whew, I just got out of jail. Freaking thank goodness I'm free. Like people like Jason say, no, I need to help others out. Like I've got to help
exactly.
people out of here, out of this Armageddon situation. And I thank you, everybody who does that. It means the
You
world
know,
to me and everybody else.
and to me, those are the real heroes right there because they're not the ones out there every day. You're not seeing them on YouTube and all that
Like
all the
me.
time, like loser.
But no, really, like there's a huge difference. I mean, well, okay, first. There's a lot of different positions people can take when it comes to activism, right? Not everybody can do what everybody else can do, right? I
Exactly.
can do this. I don't mind doing this. I like doing this. Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating, whatever, but it's not always in front of the camera like this. Like people I think see what I do and they're like, oh my god, she does so much. I mean, a lot of it is just talking. Yeah, I'm keeping people up to date, but a lot of it's just talk. The real action comes when we're behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes contacting our representatives, gathering information, things like Jason does, things
Mm-hmm.
like oh
Mark
gosh,
O'Donnell
yeah,
does.
exactly who I was thinking. Mark O'Donnell. What,
Yep.
like that's the big heavy lifting, and we appreciate that. Yeah.
And like just a real quick side bit about Mark O'Donnell. I don't know if you realize this or not. And for any of our viewers who may not, I hopefully this will be new to them as well. Did you know that he was the one that was responsible for getting Jeffrey Jackson to testify on the Australian Royal Commission?
Was he? No, I don't. I
He
don't know if I knew that, or if I did, I
he
forgot. So that's really
he
cool.
was. Yeah, because he was working behind the scenes during that commission when it was going on.
Okay.
And he was literally messaging Angus Stewart and the lawyers and everybody from the commission, letting them know, giving them, the literature that they need and everything to do their interviews and everything. But he found out that Jeffrey Jackson was down there, and he got on the ball with him. He's like, look, he is one of the governing body members. He is down here right now. He's visiting his dad, and he was responsible for getting him on that. So, again, that came out several years after he did it. So
Right.
Another great example of a behind the scenes guy who's really working and advocating for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses as well as the victims of these horrendous crimes that happen within the organization.
Right. Yep. That's all. And thank you again to everybody. And there's some other stuff that I'll be talking about today, but Mary from Apostate Amish, Misfit Amish, or what have you, like the things that they're doing behind the scenes. And there's going to be a march in June in Pennsylvania, not a march, excuse me. There's going to be a protest, probably a small one, but in June in Pennsylvania at the Capitol, because of that 2-year window that they're trying to open. There is a representative in Pennsylvania. His name is Mark Rozzi, and he is trying to get the statute of limitation window open, like just open for 2 years, so people who have been abused can come forward. It doesn't matter when. And because of this investigation in Pennsylvania, well, really, which could go beyond Pennsylvania, if we could also open that window as well as this investigation, the Jehovah's Witnesses have to pay for these lawyers, right? They had to pay for the lawyers for everybody in Pennsylvania. They're also going to have to help represent these other elders who are probably going to be subpoenaed for their documentation when other states come in reporting what's happened to them. So y'all, I'm just saying, like, if we could get this bill passed, that's the kind of behind the scenes stuff that really, I mean, the pockets of the JWs has to have a hole in it right now. Just
think of this though.
If
that happened, right, and it started going into every state, and then every congregation in America and its territories had to get lawyers and represent them all. They don't have enough JW lawyers to help out. They're going to have to hire outside legal counsel for all this.
Yes.
And then on top of that,
that's why they're asking for help, though. That's why they're putting out notices. Can you help? Have you been educated? Like, oh, now you want people educated. Sorry.
But on top of that, with all this outside counsel that they're going to need, they're also going to have to find counsel that will work for them as well. Because lawyers can say, you know what? I don't want to get involved in that case on your side of it. Hell no. And I wouldn't want to either. And so finding counsel, then paying for that counsel, that's where their hole is going to be in that pocket. They might as well just roll over and give up everything they have to and get everybody off their backs. That's what it's really going to have to happen if we can get it to go to that level.
Well, that's I think one of the biggest parts, moving pieces to this puzzle, is hurting them in their pockets. And this could be huge. I mean, we saw that the Catholic diocese was saying that they might have issues with bankruptcy because of all the issues that they're having with court cases and child exploitation and whatnot. Sorry, it's not my problem. I don't care. Like, if you mismanage your money and you've mismanaged your people, it doesn't really sound like you're being directed by God. And that's kind of like your problem. Like, I'm responsible for what happens in my family and the money coming in and out and da. Like, you need to be responsible for what you're doing. Sorry that you've ruined it. That's kind of not on me to feel bad for you. So if they go bankrupt.
Yep.
Oopies.
Exactly. And going along with this same train of thought, I got something to share with you too this morning.
More to sell. Oh, what did you got to share?
I'm going to share my screen right here. And just briefly here, in Argentina, they just started their very first Association of Victims of Jehovah's Witnesses, the AAVTJ.
Okay,
So,
so
of course,
that's actually exactly like the one from
in Spain.
Spain. Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Correct. So now they have their own, another association has started up in Argentina. So we're starting to see these groups get together and activists and multiple languages as well, which is fantastic. Sorry about the dogs in the background.
That's okay. Yeah, that is freaking fantastic. I love seeing that this is spreading. And that was one of the questions I need to get back with the lawyer from the Spanish victims to see if that's something that we should do. Like, do we need to do that specific name here in the United States? Is that kind of how it works? Because
Yeah,
basically, go ahead, Jehovah's Witnesses, you want to come after us? You want to take us to court because we have victim in the name? Let's see
yeah,
if you can afford it. Let's see how much you can
exactly.
afford.
Let's see
Okay.
how far you'll get with that line of reasoning.
Hmm.
The courts are going to laugh you out of those rooms.
They would laugh about it. I know it would be laughed about. That's why they tried it. I mean, I'm still waiting on the results, but they tried it in
Yeah.
Spain, but don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, you know what they'll do though, because it's another country, they'll try it again, I'm sure, to see, okay, because it's another country, different laws maybe, if they can get it to go. But I'm confident they'll be laughed out of court on that one too.
Yep, same. That's what I think. So do you have anything else? Do you want me to pull up some of the stuff that I have?
um,
Did you have
I,
anything?
I wanted to just uh, give a quick update on a story that we covered a couple months ago, actually. And
Okay.
this was from Rockford, Connecticut. If everybody remembers, we reported on the story about this 15-year-old who shot and killed uh, a, 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 I don't want to say brother. I don't like to use that word, but a person who was out and a witness who was out preaching, but he was sitting in his car waiting on others on the street, and he got shot and killed while in his car. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, the update on the story is that he is now facing first degree murder charges in this shooting. They haven't tried him
Ooh.
yet, but he's facing first degree murder charges as a result of that. So he really ruined his life right there by doing that.
Yeah, it's a shame. He's so
You know,
young.
and of course, I still feel bad for the victim as well. You know,
Do
he
they
didn't
have a
deserve that.
motive?
It didn't seem like they didn't say anything about a motive or anything. I didn't see anything on that,
Just
so
seems
I
so
really couldn't tell
strange,
you.
right? That just
Could
seems
just be
so,
a really bad part of town because sometimes you get in those areas, and
yeah.
the
Like,
witnesses
was it an
still want to go
accident? Was he
knocking.
robbing him? Was it like, that's what I don't
Yeah,
get.
there's nothing more on it, unfortunately. I wish I had
Oh,
more to tell you on that.
yeah.
And
It's just
then
sad.
and then one last thing I want to share real quick, and then I'll let you um, go on. Okay.
Sure. Don't matter.
Uh, um, so this is a website I saw on Facebook last night. It's e-jehovah-witnesses.com. Kind of reminds me of a forum I used to be on years ago, Jehovah's Witnesses-net or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one seems to be more geared towards current Jehovah's Witnesses. I
Okay.
kind of skimmed through it and read through some of the threads, and you can tell there's a lot of believing Jehovah's Witnesses in this forum. But the nice thing about it is you can go in there, you have to make register for it, username and password. But you can go in and comment on things, and you can stay anonymous and all that. And it might be a good little way to kind of see what JWs are talking about, what they're thinking, and what's ticking them off or not ticking them off at these particular times. What they know and don't know, and if you feel like engaging them, you know, be my guest. The only thing I would say is be respectful.
Yeah.
That'd be about the only advice I'd give. Be respectful to them because they are in a cult. They are brainwashed, and they
Yeah, they
think
don't
they
know any
have
better.
the absolute truth about everything. So,
Hmm.
but I did see some stuff about like the Pennsylvania cases going on in these forums and everything.
Oh, they
So,
mentioned it.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hmm.
So, just something for our viewers. If you want to have a little fun, go check that out.
Hey, you never know who you could wake up with a single like little link to
No, you
something,
can't. No, you don't. So,
you know? But like you said, I would never go into any of those places and be disrespectful and be hurtful or harmful. That's not cool. That's harassment.
but I will say, with my experience of being on JW groups on Facebook, be prepared for them to be that way towards you.
Oh, JWs are so mean to me. Like some of
Yeah.
the most ignorant, rude, ad hominem attacks come from
Yep.
Jehovah's Witnesses. They attacked my character, they attacked my looks. I anything negative that they can think of saying, they say it. Yeah. And I
Or they'll just.
and former. So it's not just current, but former JWs are also just as rude because you can tell that they haven't fully like quite woken up. You know what I mean? They realize like the JWs were a cult, but they've not really, they're still in that kind of controlled environment, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, they can be
Mm-hmm.
super rude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Uh,
they they will just totally obfuscate the conversation completely. You can ask them a very
mhm.
honest question, and then they'll go on to something completely else and
They
be
can't,
rude. And
yeah.
it's like, come on, I'm not trying to be an ass here. I'm just trying to ask you a simple question, just to get your
I want
brain
to
thinking a little
engage.
bit,
Hmm.
and just use a little reasoning here.
Yep.
Reasoning without the scriptures.
And that's almost impossible. But you know what? I think honestly, too, though, with JWs, that scriptures do work well. As strange as that seems, scriptures do work well, and that could be a possibility for some JWs to use scripture against scripture because we all know that the Bible is not harmonized. They try to pretend like it is, but the Bible contradicts itself all the time. So if you're good with
Mm-hmm.
scriptures, just having a scripture that goes opposite to half of their malarkey could possibly be the trick that does it if they actually enjoy the Bible and respect the
Yes.
Bible.
And even
So
if you don't believe in it anymore, it still might be a good way to use it. It might be hard for you to want to go that route, but something to think about. But what do you got for us this morning, Ryan?
yeah, it would. Okay, 1 second. But yes, that is exactly right. If someone, I don't appreciate people coming into when I make a video, and most of my videos are thought out. Like sometimes they're not, but they're thought out, right? Like I've done research, I've looked up scriptures, like I've done my work. And for someone to just like comment and not even respond to the information, but then just attack my character or whatever, it's like, it's an
Yeah,
immediate no. Like, I don't even want to dialogue with you. Like, I'm just going to block you and not listen to what you have to say because you're giving me low blows. You're being very deceitful with your conversation. It's disingenuous, and I don't
but I will
need
say
that.
though, I have seen some of your response videos to those comments, and they are very good. So,
Well, here's the thing. Like, which is really difficult, and I'll just tell you guys super quickly. It's hard for me to figure out what is the right thing to do when it comes to those videos because again, I get an influx of negative comments. And most of the friends that I follow, they are on top of it every single day making video replies to those people just like freaking lighting their asses up. And I just don't like, is that what I want to do? I don't know. Like sometimes I feel bad because I can literally just like light them up because we're dealing with people who are in a cult. So,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, am I punching
Oh yeah.
down? That's what I feel like sometimes, like I'm punching down. Am I going to be able to really get through to these people? So sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I just need to use it for the entertainment factor and let other people know, don't come at me because I'm going to come right back. Like, watch yourself. Don't make fun of my friends. Be respectful in my comment section. Or am I just supposed to roll over and be the bigger person and let people go haywire, treating people all kinds of nasty in my comment section, you know? Anyway, So that's like where I am in my head, because sometimes I really do want to light these people up, but I feel like I'm talking to infants. You know what I mean? Like, is it fair? Me get in a fight with an infant?
Well, let me address this comment real quick here, because I
No, no.
understand where you're coming
Yeah, I
from,
do,
Shayla.
Shayla.
And
And
I
we
do.
appreciate
I
your,
get it.
yeah,
And
I appreciate
but
your point of view. Sorry.
yeah, but the way I look at it is, you're not gonna attract flies with vinegar. Is that how the saying goes?
With you're not going to track flies with,
Or
yeah,
you'll
I think
attract them with
maybe.
shit.
Just go in there and shit, Shayla, and they're going to love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they'll all come on you. But no, but you're not gonna be able to have any kinds of conversations with any of them if you go in guns blazing and trying to just be just as rude as they are.
Right.
So, I
It's
still
hard.
vouch and advocate for being kind and being polite. It can be hard. You're right. It's very hard sometimes. Sometimes you just want to cuss them out up one side and down the other and smack them because they're a damn idiot hard, But
Yes.
you know, I try to
Oh,
remember I used to be one of them myself before. And how would I have felt if somebody came and started just talking to me like that? I don't think I wouldn't have responded either. So I still advocate for being kind and being, you know, as considerate and loving as you can, to a point. Now, you don't need to sit there and put up
don't
with
take
them being
abuse.
abusive
Right.
or being,
Absolutely not.
attacking you or
Nope.
your character. You don't have to do that. Start off with kindness. Let them see if they will earn it and deserve it. If not, move on.
Yeah. See if they may engage. I do sometimes find the odd one coming into my comment section who will actually do some engagement and try to answer and not deflect. And I mean, it just really depends on the person. But as a whole, I get it. I understand. Like, it's so
But I would like to.
I understand it's really difficult, and I do that in my head all the time. Like, what is the best thing to do here? What is the best thing to do here?
Well, Jonathan here says they like to say we're evil, nasty apostates, which is true. But if we
Well, I
can
am evil and
change,
nasty, but
if we can change the conversation so when they talk to us, they don't look at us like we're evil. They start seeing that we're actually people behind these screens. That's where the conversation can really change.
yeah. I mean, I do sometimes like pretend that I'm possessed by Satan and demons and stuff, because I just have to be me and be silly. I have to be silly and I have to be goofy to some but but yeah, I do try to keep that in mind. Like, let them see that we're not just coming in here, with lighting fires everywhere. But at the same time, like, I don't also want to be called out my name, right? And I can't avoid it because my goal is to try to get people's brain thinking. So in some ways, yeah, I am starting fires. I'm just trying to have controlled fires with a little bit of a
She's starting them, and somebody else has to go behind her and put them out. So for those of you who are, I'm sorry, I can't
Shayla, can you
control
come
her.
behind me? Shayla, I'll go in, guns ablaze, and you just with that
She's going to go out in
extinguisher.
a blaze of glory.
That's right. Yeah. No, that is something I could do. Okay. Yeah. So thank you all for that. That's a good dialogue, because these are the kind of things that I do need
Yes.
help with trying to understand. And like your mom said, like, I don't have to respond to people wasting my time. But then sometimes it's like, is it a waste of time when I can hopefully let other people see that content and say, like, oh, don't F with her, or don't F with those, or don't, like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving
Uh
on after that rant.
moving on after that rant. But that was good information. Thank you for showing us that. So let me pull up this about Texas, just so y'all see if you don't know what's happening in Texas. They
That's where you
are,
sent all your exes.
All my exes live in Texas. So yeah, all my exes in Texas starting Jesus camps. So
Can
they
you make that
are.
bigger?
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me. Oopies.
But you oopies?
There, oopies. There we go. So Texas is trying to pass a bill that will um, chaplains, appoint chaplains in school
Oh
instead
yes, I
of
saw this.
their social guidance counselors.
Their guidance counselors, yes.
Yes. Okay.
That
So
is
this,
scary.
I, that is super scary, y'all. If you live in Texas, or even if you don't live in Texas, freaking call those legislators and let them know this is not cool. Okay, so this is from the Dallas Morning News. The 10 Commandments could be displayed in Texas public schools classrooms, and trustees could mandate districts grant students time for prayer and Bible reading under the legislation approved by the Senate Thursday. The two bills, along with others up for consideration, are a sign of how the legislator could be inserting more religion into public education. The moves are drawing concern about the separation of church and state, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said in a statement that the bills represent one step we can take to make sure that all Texans have the right to freely express their sincerely held religious beliefs. But that's not all people's religious belief. Okay. Believe that you cannot change the culture of the country until you change the culture of mankind. Bringing the 10 Commandments and prayer back to our public schools will enable our students to become better Texans, said Patrick, a Republican who oversees the Senate. Y'all. And they think that this is freedom of religion. Forcing people to acknowledge their God to them is freedom of religious expression.
This is such a joke of a law that is definitely taking away the walls and lines of separation of church and state. And this is
It is.
absolutely ridiculous. I don't care,
Just,
Republican or Democrat, this cannot happen. This cannot stand.
and if you are a Christian who lives in Texas and you are not appalled at this, yeah, then you're not really a Christian, because
Yeah.
that's not what Christianity is about. It's not about forced assimilation. Like, is that not what y'all were fighting against? Y'all were saying that being a Jewish person was too hard. It was too much of a strain. The laws were too difficult for you to follow. So your Jeebus had to come and die to get rid of that curse of the law. I mean, that's really what it's all about here. That was the whole principle of Christianity. The law was too hard for them to do. They can't possibly do it. So Jesus needed to die to save them from having to follow the laws that God had given, the 10 Commandments. Okay. And now here they are enforcing laws that are difficult and hard for other people, maybe not for Christians, but for other people. So they're literally the biggest ironic, Hippocratic, scandalous, self-righteous group. I'm going to take
Oh,
this down.
absolutely. But I will say that I have heard other Christians talking about this very thing, and they are opposed to this happening because they do
Good.
believe that even though they're Christian and all that, that their religion should be out of the schools and it should be the way it was meant to be in this country with the separation and let people have their freedom of religion and keep it out of the schools. So I have heard some Christians saying that. So there is hope
Good.
out there. But
I
it
just hope
is
they do something about it and don't just sit idly by and let it happen. That's what I
exactly.
hope.
And I know that the ACLU is probably on this big time. I know the atheist community in Texas is really standing out against this as well. So, let's just hope that these advocates are enough to get this kicked out and not even happen.
Right. Yeah, I definitely hope. Okay, so that is that. If y'all want to call your reps, let them know that ish ain't cool. That's great. Someone made a comment. Oh, that's a really good question. And I often wonder that. What do you think, James? Because I feel that sometimes they may do that because they can count their time any which way they choose to, really.
Oh, yeah. I used to count my time in all sorts of ways when I was a pioneer. If I had Facebook at the time, I probably would have been doing that too.
It only took 3 minutes.
If I say, "Oh God, does it count?"
You have to say in Jesus' name at the end.
In Jesus' name, Amen.
All right, guys, I gotta go. Bye. Okay, I'm sorry. This is a
I'm
serious.
sorry, the Lord came.
Came inside you today. Okay, that was fun. Okay, so now the next big thing that we're going to talk about is Brumley. So if you had not heard, the JWs were fined a total of $154,000 and some odd dollars because Brumley, the lawyer for the Jehovah's Witnesses, is that showing on the screen? Okay, let me make that larger.
Bigger, please.
The lawyer for the Jehovah's Witnesses lied on an affidavit, like a 2-page or something affidavit, lying about the control that the Jehovah's Witness organization had on like a particular congregation. And they tried to pass that off as truth, and the Jehovah's Witness organization knew it, right? Because you know what your lawyer is submitting. This was probably them telling him to lie. He got found out because the plaintiffs filed something, and because of his lying, he got fined this $154,000. The organization are going to be the ones to have to pay it, but they filed an appeal. I don't believe that they're going to. Yes, and sorry, that's good information to know. Not only is he a lawyer, but he is also a JW. So we have a Jehovah's Witness who purposely, knowingly lied in court. And I really feel like that's a disfellowshipping offense. If you ask me.
It is technically, yes.
But not when you are working for the big dogs and the big dogs are telling you to lie. But yeah, so they appealed it. I have no idea how long this is going to take, but hopefully they'll just go like, yeah, no, you lied. Too bad, so sad, you're paying the fine.
Exactly. And they deserve to pay every penny of it.
Absolutely. And so the last one that we have here is, oopsie, I got to do the share.
Absolutely, Doc. I completely agree with that. Hit them in the wallet and hit them hard.
Okay, so the next one is about Finland. This was something we wanted to bring up last week, but we had that like amazing guest, Martin. But the Jehovah's Witnesses, we know since our birth that when we would go door to door, we take down people's information and we're writing down like who came to the door, whether their wife or their husband was home, the kids answer the door, what time they were home, all this information, this private data the Jehovah's Witnesses have been collecting. Well, I guess in Finland, somebody brought it. I can't remember who brought it to the government's attention, but the government's like, wait, you're doing what? You're writing down like who lives where and how, why, and what? Like, that's weird. So Jehovah's Witnesses now have to get consent for every piece of information that they write down at somebody's house. So they're not going to be able to just go door to door, knock, and if nobody answers, write anything down. They need to get express communication from the household that it's okay.
They don't like that C word, do they?
Nope. Nope. So consent is not something the Jehovah's Witnesses are fond of. Their whole premise is actually the other C word that they like is coercion. They don't like consent. They like coercion. So yes. I thought that was absolutely freaking hilarious. And I can't even believe that it's not something that I've thought of before, but it makes me wonder, is this something that we could also start thinking about doing here in the United States, getting them held accountable for writing down? I mean, people would lose their ish if they knew like what was being written down about them.
Oh my
like some
God,
people don't care. Some people wouldn't like whatever. Okay. Jehovah's Witnesses, writing down we don't know where this is, like, honestly, truly. We have no idea how this is kept private. What if there are thieves who can get a hold of this information? They can find out, oh, this address, nobody's home from such and such time to such and such time. There's all that kind of stuff that somebody who is doing nefarious things could find
And
useful.
if you remember, and I remember they always told us to write down as much as you can about that house.
Yes.
You should write down about what they have in front of their house. If they have a family, if they have a dog. Did you get
If
the
they got
dog's name by chance?
flowers.
Every
Yes.
little bit of information you could get, you were to write down. Now I got a question for you. Does Finland come under the GDPR?
I am not sure how I really don't know how it works and who's all connected to what. I wish I knew. I bet you that's something like Jan and um Jorgen. Oh shit, I can't think of his name,
Jason?
but I know. Yeah, I think yes, that's what I knew. It was something with a J that would probably know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out. I don't know either. That's why I was curious. But still, you know, the amount of information, and it's crazy how we never even thought about it. Oh yeah, we should get this information because we want to show as much interest in the person as we can. So let's make sure we remember their dog's name and that their
Hmm.
grandmother just passed away, which is another great opportunity for us to pray upon them with our religion.
Yeah.
All sorts of things like that we had in our hands, written down, that, like you said, if it got into the wrong hands, think of the bad things that could happen to those people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's scary to really think about it like that.
To even know that, like, that I know they have a dog. Like, okay, I'll make sure I take treats when I creep in through the back door. I mean, I don't know, but realizing this, I do think that we should start trying to figure out how we can. I see this is my problem. Like, I like to do activism, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, who do I talk to? I've been thinking of calling back the because I called the PA Attorney General when all the investigations started. Well, when they released it to the public, the investigation was started. But I'm wondering, like, should we call them and say, like, hey, do you realize like A, B, C, D, and F, G that is happening? Like, okay, about like the nefarious CSA, but do you also know about like data collection, like
Well, I think
all these other things?
if you were to call the AG, or if you talk to like Razi or something, I think that would fall under a separate category of the law. So they may not cover that.
Mm.
So you'd have to find the
Maybe
right.
they could tell me who.
Yeah, they could probably point you in the right direction, hopefully. And if
Yeah.
not, they might
Well,
know somebody who could put you in the right direction.
I wanted to call them anyway, just to see if there's any information that maybe, just education. I have no idea. I'm sure they're probably getting that, but I just wanted to offer um, that up to them. But maybe when I call them, I will also just say, like, hey, is anybody looking into this? And who would I speak to about this? There's probably some kind of government maybe what's the telecommunication, the FDIC,
The FTC.
FDC, maybe.
FD or FTC, something like that.
Fuck.
F,
Sorry.
FTC is Federal Trades Commission.
FCC.
FCC, Federal Communication, something. If somebody knows, just tell us.
I live in this country. Yes, I live in this country. I take part of democracy. Can't you tell? See,
you're a real red, white, and blue American.
I got my red and white on. But this is really what happens to people like us, right? Like, where most people understand the interworkings of the government and da 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 da. I have no effing clue. I'm trying to catch up and I feel so behind. Yeah. Anyway.
I do too. Don't feel bad. So,
and yeah, Shayla, that's one of the big controversial things that I don't think it's talked about enough. And to be fair, it's been a while since I've discussed it. I have talked to people about it and they didn't even believe me. They were like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, they brag about going into the worst parts that's, I think, actually what what I wanted to do is I wanted to find that clip where they talk about how they go into like the worst parts or whatever they said of the jails that nobody wants to go to recruit people, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are like, oh, isn't that amazing? Like, yeah, you want this dude coming to your congregation? No thank you.
I should talk to my dad about this, because we lived in an area in Florida near the Florida State prisons, and the congregation that we were in actually had elders that went to the prison, and my dad was part of that.
Yes, there was a huge movement. I mean, I remember hearing about it in the 80s and 90s. They would brag about it constantly.
Oh yeah, you can almost hear them saying, "Let's go to the sexual predator wing. Come join our religion. We'll cover it up for you. You don't have to be here anymore."
But you know what, James? I think that also speaks to how brainwashed these people are. They really think that with this guidance system, the Jehovah's Witness organization how-to book, that people really get healed. I do believe that they believe that once these people hear the message of Jesus Christ, the governing body, that they won't harm children anymore. Like, I do think that they believe that. And that's like part of the problem is they don't get like, ugh, gross. And did they? Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting. I wonder. I mean, and hey, people fuck up, y'all. That's okay. Like, I fucked up. Like, thank goodness I never went to jail for some of the dumb crap that I did as a kid. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that you should be careful about inviting that kind of person into an organization that freely protects them and allows them to walk amongst the rest.
That's crazy. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Trying to see if I didn't. And just give me a yes or no, Mom. Did he have his comments submitted, like written down for the Watchtower, and somebody would read them off during the Watchtower study?
Stop it. I bet.
Yeah, I think they did. So let's see if she'll comment here. But
I just look at that. You see my goosebumps?
Jeez.
That made me sick. That makes me sick. I'm sorry.
Sick.
Like,
but anyways, yes. Oh wow.
It makes me sick.
Oh wow. So yes. Anyways, that is our show for today.
Yes, that is all we had. Thank you, everybody. Just a reminder.
I
know you got to go. You got to go. James needs to get to bed. But just FYI, so June 5th is the protest in PA to help support that bill for the 2-year window in the statute of limitations. Don't forget, I'll get the website up. But Tammy G, there's going to be a protest in Washington, D.C. I forget exactly what it's about, but they picked that date, Halloween, because that is the day that Russell, I believe, died. So that's why she picked that date. So anyway,
also the day my youngest son was born.
Oh, really? I love Halloween. If I had to pick a holiday that's my favorite, it would be Halloween, just because I like to dress up and I like spooky stuff. That's my favorite one. So it's a good date for it.
Also, I will get that video linked and pinned to the top of the comments for Rebecca Varney, for anybody who's interested in watching that.
Yeah.
So other than that, everybody have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Apostate Weekly. And
don't forget to share this.
Yes. Please share it. Please subscribe.
Please share. It helps us.
Helps you.
Help me. Help me, please.
Help! I need somebody.
Help! Not just anybody.
With that, let's adios, everybody, and have a wonderful week.
Apostate your way. Listen, obey, be blessed.